Well, good morning, everybody. It's 10 a.m. Tokyo time, and that means you are here at the GAJIN50 Plus Wednesday morning live stream. Wednesday morning, and that is Tuesday evening, I guess, in North America. Welcome, everybody. I see we have some people joining us. Please take a moment, say hello, and we can get on with this. And we got some pretty interesting stories to discuss. One I just picked up about 3 minutes ago. I was looking around Facebook and found a good story that's going to, I think, be good for our discussion here. Okay, we have some people saying good morning. Kelvin, good morning. I hope you're well rested now that your busy time is finished. And my good old friend Tokyo Dano, how you doing, Dan? Glad to see you here. And okay, I feel like you guys are old buddies too. You haven't met, neither of you have met each other yet, but maybe someday. I think Kelvin's might make it over here to Tokyo one of these days. Okay, yeah, okay, good. Kelvin's getting some rest these days. Kelvin was involved in that space launch that the U.S. was doing there, and he had some pretty hectic days there. But it looks like it was pretty flawless. Everybody got back safe and sound, huh? Kelvin says that this late spring or early summer, hey, that's pretty soon, isn't it? Starting to warm up here. We got past the cherry blossom season, which was very pleasant, but these days it's starting to become a little bit warmer and warmer, and I'm sure that soon we'll be complaining about the oppressive heat that always hits Tokyo these days. All right. Well, so let me start out. Let me throw something up there, see what we could talk about here. Boomo, the first thing that we have here is going to be measles. I don't know. Is measles spreading in other parts of the world as well? Excuse me here. Let me. Okay, we've got. I'm not good at multitasking especially while doing a live stream. So when I start having to move my mouse around and click things, I sort of like slow down. Oh, Edward, nice to see you. Haven't seen you for a while. I predict summer is going to be hotter than last year. Well, that's a pretty good prediction because it's been that way just, a lot. I remember when I first came here long ago, and I was down in Kyushu as well. I've mentioned this before. It was never that hot. I think it was a big deal whenever it went over 30 back then. We didn't have air conditioning in the house at all, just those fans that, I guess we'd call them a floor fan. And cars definitely didn't have air conditioning. You just rolled down the windows, and that was good enough. And that was down in Kyushu, and it was where it's warmer than it usually is in Tokyo. All right. Let's start out with talking measles. Measles cases surpassed 200 in Japan, and that is the fastest pace since 2020. Now, I came across this story on, I've got look at Facebook for my news sources, I should say, and I find something on Facebook and then try to chase down the real reporting. And, there's a lot of fake news on Facebook, a lot of sites that are devoted just to generating clicks. And they were saying that, measles is a problem in Japan, and it was a very, very clickbaity headline. And so I was a little bit cautious, and I tracked it down. This news that I tracked down actually comes from NHK World, which is a pretty good source, pretty reliable source. And even though 200 cases doesn't sound like a lot in all of Japan, it says that this is the fastest pace since 2020. And they say that measles is a highly contagious disease that spreads through the air as well as from water droplets and physical contact. Now, while I was trying to check on this news, I found something that said that if somebody who has measles is in a room or in an area and just breathes the air or coughs or sneezes or something, but anyway, measles bacteria entering the air from an infected person can stay active in the air and stay contagious in the air for up to 2 hours after the person leaves the area. So measles is very scary as far as being a contagious disease. Now, the Japan Institute for Health says 34 cases were initially reported during the week through April 5th, and there have been a total of 236 cases so far this year, which is roughly 3.6 times the number for the same period last year. And it says 30 of the patients, or about 13% of the total, are believed to have been infected overseas in countries such as Indonesia and New Zealand. I didn't know New Zealand had a measles problem. Measles has been declared eliminated in Japan previously. Patients in Japan who have not traveled abroad are therefore believed to have been affected by a virus that has been brought into the country from abroad. In Indonesia, the low vaccination rates and slow diagnoses have led to huge measles outbreaks since last year. Cases are also on the rise in the United States, Canada, and European countries. Luckily, people such as myself, people born prior to 1977 or something like that, are said to probably have been infected by measles as children and therefore have lifetime immunity. So we older folks don't have to worry about things like that. And that's, as Shred Edward, of course, points out, most of all, us old timers have already had measles as children and don't have to worry. Kelvin, Tokyo Dano, except for going blind, getting old, and spending half the day on the shitter, I guess I am doing well. Okay, it sounds like a familiar story. Some years ago, I had shingles on my face, was admitted to the hospital, and the doctors and nurses freaked out when they thought it might have been measles. But I think shingles are a adult reoccurrence of measles, though I don't think it's as contagious as measles itself. All right. And Shred Edwards says, spending half the day on a modern Japanese shitter is considerably better than squatting on a Japanese. Yeah, what would people do, I guess what would have people have done if smartphones would have been a thing when Japanese toilets were the thing? Okay, I don't think you would. Well, I don't know. I mean, people back then were pretty good at squatting and could squat. Some people back in the day, I don't know if they still do it, buy a bowl of ramen and squat down like that as they eat it. It was quite a comfortable position for people back then. But I wonder, I don't think it is anymore. I've seen stories about young kindergarten kids and elementary school kids who go to school that still have Japanese style toilets, who are just unable to handle their nature duties on squat style toilets. A blood test confirmed that I had measles. Yeah, I guess you can get an immunity test. You can go to the doctor and get a test to see if you had measles in the past, as Dano found out. I had natural antibodies from having measles. And yes, I think many of us our age, back when we were tougher, when we used to walk back and forth to school uphill both ways in knee-deep snow, and these young whippersnappers have it so easy. Okay. If you had chickenpox, you automatically have a dormant form of shingles. Yeah, chickenpox, not measles. Excuse me. Thank you for correcting me, Kelvin. Sometimes it rears its ugly head. Sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, shingles. And You know, people say shingles is painful. I once had a rash on my side, and I went to the doctor, and the doctor told me, "Oh, that's shingles." He says, "Oh, it looks like it hurts." And I said, "No, it doesn't hurt." He gave me some medicine. I took the medicine, cleared it up, and I haven't had a recurrence since then. Kelvin says, "I had shingles when I was 29. Good Lord. It was, yeah, okay. You said it, yours was painful. Like I said, mine was not very painful at all. The problem is for adults who did not get measles as children. Yeah, they say that adults who did not get measles as children and who gets it as adults can it can be really serious. It can be very much a problem. What is the problem with adult measles? Is it that the measles are that serious or uh, life-threatening? Why is it bad for adults, worse for adults than it was as children? Tokyo Dano says my shingle was not painful, just itchy, but it looked like hell. I sent a photo to my workplace and asked if they wanted me to come in. They said, no way, my job was as a greeter at Costco. They didn't want you. Scaring away the customers, I guess. Okay. Man, you got a picture? Boy, I'd like to see that. Next time we get together, Dano, try to bring that picture. I'd like to see it. Did you look like Elephant Man or something like that? Okay. I'm gonna show a banner that I always forget to display. Here we go. Okay. Ba-bam. Psh. I'm gonna shill myself here. Okay. Okay, Dano says he'll bring that picture. Thank you, Dan. All right. Well, that's enough measles talk. Like I said, they say that there's the cases are on the uptick, and I read somewhere that in Tokyo it is the biggest uptick, of course, and so I'm a little. Well, I guess I shouldn't be worried because I've had measles, but um, the I have to be on the train starting from tomorrow. I have to start going back to my university work from tomorrow. This semester, I've cut my work back to 2 days a week for you because I want to continue working on the YouTube channel, which has been a lot of fun. It's been increasing in size these days. We've got 3,000 subscribers. If you're a new subscriber, welcome. And please feel free to jump into the discussion. Everybody here is nice and friendly. We haven't had a fist fight yet, but so please, like I said, don't be afraid to say what you want to say. Okay, let's go on to another news story here. So now that we're at it. All right. Cool. Now, this is about anime, manga, and this kind of thing. Now, I will confess that I am not an anime fan, and I am not a manga fan, and I am not an online gamer or anything like that. This is all happening after my time, I would say. So I never really got into it. But here we have a story that says the Japanese government wants overseas anime market to roughly triple in 10 years. Now, this is their plan. What do you think about that? And there's a nice, cute little anime manga kind of girl with her rice cooker in the background. Okay, so the Ministry of Economic Trade and Industry sets targets of 186% growth in overseas anime business, 253% Japanese games. Well, nice targets. The problem is, are they realistic? And so in a meeting, Medi's Entertainment and Creative Industry Policy Study Group held in late March, the ministry listed the size of the overseas anime market at 2.1 trillion yen. I guess that's the current size, maybe. And the government wants to triple that in the next 10 years, bumping it up to 6 trillion yen by 2020 And within 10 years, the government wants to, the Japanese video game sector's overseas revenue to balloon from 3.4 trillion to 12 trillion. So here's their sales growth that they want to achieve from 2024 to 2023. Video games, 253%, anime, 186%, manga, 233%, music, 400 to 900%, live action, 400% growth. That's a lot of anime, isn't it? This article points out, so how do they want to do this? Well, they have some, I guess, strategy. They said they want to do it through tax incentives, budgetary support for the production and promotion of Japanese IPs, and helping with the creation and expansion of distribution platforms and localization support for manga. For video games, they want an increased effort for mobile and PC game industries, anime producing more blockbusters. Well, that's always a good strategy, blockbusters. Manga reducing piracy and promoting legitimate distribution. Okay, that's doable. Music fostering fandom and attracting new fans through live events. Well, they can also try to copy K-pop more. K-pop, I think, is, even though I don't understand anything they're saying in K-pop, is certainly visually much more pleasing than J-pop, I think, my humble opinion. And for live action, they want to produce blockbusters with global distribution in mind. Producing blockbusters, that is a strategy, I guess. But can you sit down? For me, as a YouTube video producer, I think every time I sit down, my strategy is to produce a blockbuster. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Usually it doesn't. I had one video that I thought, man, this is going to be such a hot video. And I put it up there and blammo, it sort of hit the garbage can so quick, I didn't know what hit me. And it's still there, floundering like a fish that I caught and threw down on the dock. It's just sort of like, doing its last quivers before it totally dies. Okay. So what do you think of these strategies of the manga industry? Let's go over to the comments. All right, I've already did 2 weeks back at work as usual. Wonderful. Yeah, I like the quality of students these days. Every time I start a new university semester, I find that the students are eager and cool and nice, and I have high hopes for the future of Japan if these are some of the students that will be becoming adults in the near future. How do you set a target for something you don't produce? Good question. So I guess, this target setting sounds nice on paper, but okay. J-pop used to be pretty good. I think Utada Hikaru. But then it got weird, more anime and girls dressed like young school girls, kind of fetishy. Yeah, yeah. I think that J-pop, I mean, this may be age talking, but I think J-pop during the 70s was much better than what it is now. And like you said, it's kind of fetishy, but it's always been kind of fetishy. Always this kind of, and in the past, I don't know if they do it now because I don't watch much Japanese TV, but in the past there used to be a lot of very short skirts with petticoats that would make the skirts wide, and the cameraman would always shoot from a low angle, and that it was really fetishy back there. Okay, hello, Greg. Welcome to the party. Thank you. And yeah, kind of, you are right. Yeah, there's always been a touch of fetishy. I remember there was a time Like if a singer or a talento young lady in a short skirt was going upstairs or backstage, they'd always have a camera down below going, oh, and then the girl would turn around and try to cover up. It was pretty weird. Yeah, back in the 70s and 80s, they could actually sing Seiko Masuda, for example. Yeah, especially the female singers, some of them were quite good. And male singers, there were some very, very good male singers back then too. And even the enka singers I thought were good. But there were some that didn't deserve to have a camera in front of them. There were a couple of guys that were often flat, off key, and stuff like that. But they were the heart throb of the day, and it was really comical to see them singing. And I used to ask my Japanese friends, "Why are they popular?" And they say, "Well, they're the idol, right? They're an idol." Here where I live, when I go to the station, there's a place with a small stage, and every once in a while they'll do a show, especially on the weekends, and they have young up and coming groups on stage doing their act, usually with a recorded background, but they're mostly idol singers. And the guys are dyed hair and doing their dance while they sing in their post-pubescent voices. And then you'll have your girls, and the girls are very much what they used to call that lolicon style doing, and none of them are very good. However, especially the young girls, you see a lot of guys out there, and I mean, they're not teenage guys, a lot of young adult guys in the crowd enjoying it. That's what they want to do. Fine. And they have, you can take a picture together with these young ladies, and I think you have to pay for it. But hey, what can you say? Daniel says Southern All Stars were great. Yeah, and evidently they still are great. Where I teach, I sometimes for exercise, I walk from my university to Idabashi. And to get to Idabashi from my university, I have to cut through the Tokyo Dome complex. And one day, I got to Tokyo Dome and tried to navigate my way through the complex, and it was so packed with people, you physically had a hard time getting through. I mean, it was one of these, oh, excuse me, oh, pardon me, kind of things. And when I got to the other side, finally, I was out of the complex, went down the stairs, and still there were hordes of people headed for the complex, for the dome, and there were some guys there, commercial guys guiding traffic. So while I was waiting for the light to change, I asked one of them, "What's going on? Is there some big game?" And they said, "Nope, Southern All Stars concert." So they still have a very, very big following, very, quite talented musicians. They know what it takes to please the crowd. All right. I've learned how to do the Pink Lady UFO dance. Well, Shred Edward, if you would like to record yourself doing that, send it over, and we'll play it in a future live stream. And you could become famous. But that was pretty cool. Pink Lady had a pretty good act going for them, and I think some of their songs were great. UFO, SOS, Otoko wa Okami na no yo. Yeah, I remember those days. I used to like to listen to Pink Lady and watch Pink Lady. Okay, I heard they went to the States and released a song that got some traction, but somebody who I know who was active in Nashville came back to Japan one time, and I was talking to them, and we were talking about what it's like to make a record and have a hit and get sales and get on the Billboard Hot 100. And he told me that there are organizations, production companies, who tell you, hey, come up with, I forgot what it was. Was it $200,000 at the time or $500,000? Pay us that much money and we'll guarantee you a hit record. No questions asked. So I guess what they do is you record your record or you record your music, and this company would go out and use part of the money that you paid to buy your music and put it in a warehouse somewhere or whatever. And your 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 creation would climb the charts based on sales. So I guess anybody can have a hit if they pay enough money. And in those days, Pink Lady had quite a bit of money. One of my favorite groups from the 80s was the Japanese band called Off Course. Check them out. Yes, Off Course, Mr. Chuckles, was a big hit. And yes, they were a big band in the 1980s and quite good. Okay. Yes, Southern All Stars are very good still. Yep, they know what they're doing when it comes to pleasing the crowds. Oh, hi, hey, how you doing? AWD 1001. If you got a real name, anybody that's got these handles, if you want to keep your handles, fine, no problem. But if you've got a real name that you want to be called by, please drop it in the comments and we will honor your wishes. Also, Naotaru Moriyama is pretty good. Okay, I don't know Naotaru Moriyama, but if you give me a lesson to make a note, Naotaru Moriyama. Okay, thank you for the tip there, Kelvin. We'll check it out. Does anyone remember the Peanuts? Yep, they are a pair of twins. I think one of them was different because she had a mole on her cheek, and the other one took to putting an artificial mole on her cheek, so they were identical. The Peanuts were very good. I mean, they were active when Dan and I first got here to Japan. We didn't come together, but we got here about the same time. And they were very, very good duo. And that was when music was on the TV a lot here. And you were always saying these main stuff. And, they used to have, not like now where you have recorded backup, or maybe you might have a small band, but they had full orchestras. Every TV show had a full orchestra, saxophones, the whole 9 yards, playing backup for these people who would appear. And Peanuts appeared a lot and had a lot of good songs. But we're talking old J-pop stuff. The K-pop stuff is modern and great. My favorite is Yoyomi. Thank you. I don't know the K-pop names of the groups, but every time I see K-pops, they make my eyes pop because they're very good. Just something eye-catching, sparkly, dynamic, and a lot of Japanese people will agree to that as well. Shredder with it, or the Korean baseball cheerleader dancers. There you go. Way back when, I had a small channel that was just a private channel, and I went to the Japanese baseball game at Tokyo Dome, as a matter of fact, between the Japan team and the Taiwan team, Japan versus Taiwan. And the Taiwan team had cheerleader dancers, and I had a little camera. I forgot it was a Sanyo, one of those. It was funny shaped, and you had a screen that you opened up from the side. And I shot a short video of the Taiwan baseball dancers in their short skirts doing their thing, and it got thousands of views. I was really surprised. I never did anything after that or before that, but that particular video really took off. Okay, I saw Southern All Stars at a place called Makihara Mess. There you go, way out there in Chiba in 1990. Good performance. Thank you, Ed. And yeah, Makuhari Mess, not Makihara, Makuhara, Makuhari, Makuhari, Makuhari Mess, I think it's called, out in Chiba. Yeah, that's a big, big exhibition center. All right, we got another one, Ed, off course. Yeah, that's another very, very good group, off course. Sure, the Peanuts were in the Gamera movie. Yes, they were, as a matter of fact. Yeah, didn't they? They sang some song, oh, to make the monster come out or go away or something like that. Yeah, my favorite. I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. My favorite was, I used to. That was one of the ways that I learned my initial Japanese was by watching the Sunday singing shows. And, you watch a TV show and you hear the same word 3 or 4 times, it sticks in your head. You turn to somebody, what does that mean? And people tell you, and hey, and those were the days I used to watch the Peanuts. And I didn't understand much Japanese at the time. And, but I, like everybody then and everybody now, the one Japanese word that every Westerner knows is sayonara. And goodbye, of course. And I remember I was watching a TV show, and there was this young girl. I guess she was like 18 or 19 at the time. Came up on the screen in a kimono, very Japanese style, and she had that look about her, that kimono look about her, and she sang "Sayonara, Sayonara," and I thought, oh, I understand this song, and I immediately became a big fan of her, and she was Miyako Harumi, and I have a number of her CDs in my collection hidden away somewhere. And I've been to like 3 or 4 or 5 of her live concert shows. I always get a strange look when I go. But I think she's passed away by now or retired or whatever. But she's got a real unique kind of singing style. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of Japanese people don't like it. Kind of like her singing style is like the Dolly Parton of Japan, except in enka. But anyway, my favorite, and that's not J-pop, of course, that's enka. But there you go. My talking about J-pop and the great singers. How about Fuse Akira? Fuse Akira was a really technically good singer that was very, what should I say, consistent through the years. He didn't have any really big breakout J-pop hit, but he was consistently good and consistently appearing in the Japanese entertainment industry for years and years. Or Ozaki Kiyohiko. They're a very good technical singer, almost like an operatic singer. I think if he's still around, I know that he moved to Hawaii and he was doing some stuff there, but he was also a very, very good singer. Kotoba ni Dekinai was a signature song for some life insurance company, but I don't remember which one. Okay, there you go, Ed. Yeah, there were a lot of Japanese music is used for signature songs of companies or events, like the Olympics or the Japan series or stuff like that, that can take a very popular song and turn it into something that you can't stand listening to anymore. Because what they do is they take one particular hook from the song and just play that over and over and over again. But okay, that's another topic. Okay, I guess that talks that to death for now. Okay. Oh, I taught Ito Ran of the Peanuts in a private English class. Where to go? Japan Gambler Diaries. Welcome. Her husband always came to pick her up. I didn't realize he was also a famous actor until later, Mizutani Yutake. Okay, good for you. good for you. You know, you're very lucky to have that connection. And, you know, that's one of the great things, you know, about living in another country. I know it is true about Japan, it may be true of other countries too. And one of the things that I love, and about English teaching too, is you get to meet people at levels in society that I don't think you'd ever have the chance to in your home country, because back in your home country, you're just not another bozo like everybody else. But yeah, I also have experienced that kind of thing. I have met people at various levels of Japanese society that I don't think I would have never had the chance to meet them. We were talking about Carlos Ghosn the other day, the guy who was the president of Nissan, who was arrested, and they had to hustle him out of the country in a box or something like that to get his mistake. I went to a piano concert of a daughter of a friend, and this guy was quite a wheel in Japanese society. And one of the guests in the audience of the concert was Carlos Ghosn. Before he got into all his trouble, he was still a big shot at Nissan at the time. And we're sitting there, and I was there with my wife, and we're sitting there. And my wife says, "Look, there's Carlos Ghosn." And I looked over, and there he was. I mean, he wasn't near us or anything like that, but there he was in the audience. You know, he didn't have any security or anything. He was just sitting there. And the concert was going on, and you know, my friend's daughter was doing a very good job, and they had a intermission. And so they said, okay, we're going to take an intermission of, I don't remember what it was, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it was. So if you want to go to the washroom or go out and get a drink or just stretch your legs, now's your chance to do it. So everybody got up and went out into the lobby. Not everybody, but a lot of people, and so did Carlos Ghosn. So I suddenly stood up, and my wife said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to go say hello to Carlos." And she said, "No, yeah, mete, don't do it. You know, you're going to embarrass me." So I hustled myself out into the foyer and came up, and as I came out, there was Carlos Ghosn walking in front of me. So I came up behind him and I said, "Mr. Ghosn." And he turned around and he said, "Yes." And I said, "Oh, I follow what you do, and you know, you're doing great things over there." You know, he was at the time. You know, I don't know what happened later, but I said, "I see you're doing great things in the news and stuff like that, and you know, I'm one of your fans, and I just wanted to say hello." And he stuck his hand out, shook my hand, and he says, "Well, thank you. You're very kind." And I said, "Okay, man. You know, take it easy," and we parted ways. And like I said, I don't think I would have had that chance even if I stayed in the U.S. Yep, the hook thing is real, says Ednoy. Yeah, the hook thing. Sanai met her god the other day. Oh, her god was some drummer, right? I remember that. I saw the news about that. Yeah, she. You know, I like that. You know, maybe some people will say, "Well, that's not very." You know, prime ministers shouldn't say things like that. But what the heck? More power to her. Go get him, Sanai, I always say. As you can tell by what I produce on the channel and what I say here, I'm a pretty big Sanai fan now, at this point in time. We'll see what happens in the future. I thought Ito Ran was from the 70s group called the Candies. The Peanuts were Emmy. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that connection. You're correct. Ito Ran was definitely from the Candies. And the Peanuts were Emmy and Yumi Ito. Okay. Yeah, Mr. Chuckles said that. Mr. Chuckles. Okay, so Japan Gambler Diaries. Either you made a mistake on the group name, or you made a mistake on the young lady name. But okay, Ednoy, here we go. You, the Oyaji gag. No, I love it. Gone with the Wind. Very good. Yeah. What does Shakespeare say? That the pun is the highest form of humor? Well, you just hit it. Okay, thank you. Very good. It can happen elsewhere. I met Kurt when he came to buy the devil's lettuce from my roommate back in here. Yeah, I guess the devil's lettuce puts you into good company there, doesn't it? Okay, it could happen anywhere. Yeah, you never know who's going to show up, did you? Would you? For your old timers who remember Shogun and Rankin, I met him when I put an ad in the Japan Times to sell my typewriter, and he showed up to buy it. And we became good buddies after that. And he introduced me to a lot of interesting people after that. Not as exciting as the devil's lettuce, but it did happen. I was at the Nissan factory in Hon-Atsugi, and Carlos was introducing the first model of the X-Trail. I also said hello to him, and he was nice. Yeah, that's what struck me about him. He was really nice. His smile was natural and sincere. You can tell that he was happy to meet somebody who had nice things to say about him. That's what I respected about him the most. He could have easily told me to go take a hike, but he didn't. He turned around, stopped, chatted for a few minutes, and that was that. Okay. Carlos, if you're listening, hang in there, man. Yeah, that is right. She was from the candies. Thanks for the correction. Yeah. Candies, peanuts. Yeah, they're both snacks. I could see how we can mix that kind of thing up. Okay. All right. Yeah, the candies were pretty hot. I guess a lot of people said that the candies were kind of like a rip-off of the Pink Lady, but I didn't see it. I thought they had their own distinctive sound and style. My favorite candy song was one that fits in this series, this season. Remember that one? Mosugu haru desu ne. I love that. I mean, it's just a song. It's just it's almost like a greeting. Ah, mosugu haru desu ne. And somebody, I don't know if it was them, but somebody who writes for them turned it into a song, and they turned it into quite a big hit. Okay. Did you ever see the movie called Tokyo Pop? Asks Ed. No, I didn't. Is that like a Netflix movie or is it a Japanese movie? Please let us know, Ed, and we'll check it out. Okay, Tokyo Pop. Well, that might be enough for music for a while. For those who are not music fans or waiting for something else, let's go on to the next story. Now, this is one always just before I start a live stream, I take a really quick look at my news suggestions, and I found one. And this seems to be a new news story that just hit the wire on today. So it's one of these Japanese news. Okay, thank you, Ed. It's Carrie Hamilton, Tokyo Pop. It's on YouTube. Thank you. And it's one of these stories that has a big headline and very little detail. So I'm going to be looking to see if I can get more detail, maybe turn it into a full-fledged video. But let's take a look at it for now. All right. Japan's prime minister urges constitution revision discussions to be sped up, shows favor for male adoption of the imperial succession. All right, this is big news. This headline really sets up a big story. Japan's prime minister wants to hurry up and revise the constitution. It suggests, and wow, that's big news. This revision of the Constitution has been a hot button issue over the years for a long time. There have been many prime ministers and many politicians who have said we have to revise the Constitution. Now, revise the Constitution. What does that mean? This story doesn't say, give any details. Revise the Constitution can mean a lot of different things. For number one, the biggest question is, do they want to eliminate or amend the clause that says that Japan totally rejects the use of military force to achieve its international aims or to resolve disputes with other countries? This is in the Japanese Constitution, and it has handcuffed the Japanese government, hobbled the Japanese government in many ways that some people say put the country in a dangerous situation, or could put the country in. For example, if I remember one time, and this is years ago, some reporter asked the head of the Japanese self-defense forces if some country suddenly landed troops in Japan and started, invading Japan, would the self-defense forces defend the Japanese homeland before it got a command to do so by the prime minister? And the head of the Japanese self-defense forces said, of course, we would. If troops started landing on the beaches, we would defend the homeland. And he was fired the next day for saying such a thing, which I always thought was really weird. But okay, this is what, when they say revise the Constitution, this always comes up. Well, what about this clause? But let's look at the story a little bit. Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi expressed her intention to accelerate discussions on revising the Constitution during a regular convention of the Liberal Democratic Party held at a hotel on Sunday on Tokyo. This is a poorly written sentence. It sounds like they're going to revise the Constitution during the convention, but actually it was during the convention that she made her remarks. She expressed her intention. She said, we want to be fully prepared to initiate a proposal for constitutional revision by next year's party convention. Okay, so proposal is nice, but will it pass? Speaking on imperial succession, Takaichi said revision to the imperial house law is urgently needed. Our top priority will be a proposal to use the adoption system to restore the imperial family status of male descendants in the paternal line. Okay, so it seems that Takaichi agrees that the emperor should always be a guy and never a gal, which is causing kind of like a constitutional or a imperial crisis right now, because the only offspring of the current emperor is a female. Poor little Ai-chan there. And so the people are saying she can't become empress when her father passes away. And now they're talking about the emperor adopting the first son of his younger brother, or of having the first son of his younger brother becoming the emperor because he's a guy, even though he's not a direct, all this kind of DNA stuff is going on. That is kind of interesting, kind of sad. But anyway, they're talking about, this is the imperial house law, not the Constitution. And here is a general statement. We have to revise the Constitution. Okay. How do you plan to do that? What do you want? That's where the devil is in the details. And then also there is some talk about how this might be a lot more difficult than just coming out with a proposal, in that the so-called upper house of the Japanese Diet would have to sign off on this. And right now, Takaichi does not have the overwhelming support that she enjoys in the lower house. And so passing such a proposal might be more difficult than what is being led on. Okay, Um, excuse me. This software, this platform that I'm using, you have certain buttons you got to click. And if you don't click them correctly, you get in all kinds of trouble. So I had to make a correction there. All right. So Ed Noy says that the movie starring Carrie Hamilton, and it's on YouTube, and that Carrie Hamilton was the daughter of Carol Burnett. Okay. I guess maybe she still is, but Sayonara was the soundtrack for the movie Sayonara. Okay. I have to check that out. Oh, there you go. That's where the was is. Sadly, Carrie passed away a few years ago. All right. Yeah, back to the music thing. I mentioned this before. When I first got here, talking about J-pop, the way it used to be. When I first got here, there was a major Japanese hit in Japanese by Little Peggy March, and she was quite popular in Japan. I saw her on Japanese TV a number of times, and her record sold a lot here in Japan. And if you remember Little Peggy March, people our age, she had a lot of hits in the United States. Probably her biggest one was "I love him, I love him, I love him, and where he goes, I'll follow." Not exactly a feminist anthem, but it was popular back before feminist anthems were a thing. Okay, we're back into the constitutional amendment here thing. And the constitutional amendment means allowing Japan to have an offensive military. Yes, yes. And, there are a lot of opinions to have, but, you know, as we heard in the US in the last election, a country that cannot defend its borders and cannot defend itself is not a country. So that's something that is going to be debated probably in the months to come. I taught Hagiwara Shoken, Dan Fumi, Seiko Matsuda, and the Pink Lady came to our school, but I didn't teach them. They put paper over the windows so other students wouldn't stare at them. Yeah, paper over the windows so other students would stare at them. I might have tried that during my gaijin days in Fukuoka way back when everybody stared at you walking down the street. Paper, or put a paper bag over your head. Okay, yeah, paper. I could see the paper on the windows. Yeah, otherwise people go wow, which is not good. Short Edwards says, and possible nuclear weapons, which might not be a bad thing. Yes, I agree. Especially where Japan geographically sits in the world. Nuclear weapons may be a good idea. Okay. Okay, Tokyo Dano. That was Shibuya Berlitz, and a lot of celebs came there in the mid-'80s. Yeah, Berlitz was a big name back then. All right. A lot of online discussion focuses on the imperial princess marrying someone from an former imperial house. I guess that would be one resolution to their crisis, wouldn't it? Okay, but I'm sure that discussion is going on. All right. I found it a hoot that your prime minister was a Deep Purple fangirl. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. Deep Purple drummer. She says, "You're my God." Yeah, Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water, right? Deep Purple, quite a band, huh? In the day. All right, good for her. Yeah, she's about Deep Purple age, isn't she? Okay. My woman came from Tokyo. Another big Sawada Kenji, right? Sawada Kenji was a big guy in his day. Wasn't he married? He was also married to some big Japanese singer, I think. I don't remember offhand, but Sawada Kenji. Yeah, he did his Tokyo, and he also did his Bogey. Remember? Bogey, Bogey, Sono Jidai ga Yokatta. All right. Boy, we're getting really nostalgic here. But, it fits in. it fits in with our, I guess, in a way, with our story about the girl who is prime minister, the woman who's prime minister. She was a girl back in the same days we were. Okay, so it kind of fits in. All right. Anything else on the music or constitutional front? Yeah, it's going to be a big debate because some people in Japan are dead set against anything nuclear because of the Nagasaki and Hiroshima thing. And of course, it is, I guess, understandable. But I in my experience, I guess you would say, I would say that the Japanese people are also very, 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 very conservative as a whole. Of course, there are different flavors of different people, but generally as a whole, I personally get the impression that Japanese people are quite conservative. Um, if somebody wants to chime in on that, you can disagree. Please feel free. Am I the only one who thinks Takeichi looks weird? AF. I don't know what the abbreviation AF stands for, but you can make that case. Sure. I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure you could. I'm losing something here. Pakun. All right. There we go. That's where I lost it. Yeah. I mean, there she is. Does she look weird? Yeah. Well, she's older, like us. Oh, as Fudge. Thank you. Thank you, Shred Edward. Um, she is older. I mean, so am I. And she's thin, which both of those vibes work against a person. If you're older and a little bit overweight, it sort of like fills out your wrinkles a little bit, and it helps a little bit to be a little bit overweight as you get older. In a way, I will say that I have the same kind of problem like in my neck. I'm not underweight, though I'm not that much overweight either. So my neck is really thin. So I look like a real pencil neck geek there or something. Okay. Thank you, S Fudge. Got it. Got it. We oldsters have to, you have to let us boomers in on. I think Shred Edward, you're about the same age, aren't you? But thanks for filling us in. And not enough plastic. There's that too, right? Not enough Botox. Not enough. Not enough facelifts. Could very well be. Westerners, when they get facelifts, they get that. You know, when they pull the skin up to get rid of wrinkles. I wonder what happens to Japanese people. Does it affect them or not as much? That's a good question. And don't start calling me a racist for asking that question. If you want to start calling me a racist, go away, right? But looks good. Yeah, I mean, she's looking okay. But like I said, she's real thin, right? And she's got that page boy hairstyle. I don't know. I think she looks okay. Yeah, I think she looks. Oh, come on. Let's not criticizing. I don't think we're criticizing. I'm not criticizing. I'm discussing. Like I just said, I think she looks good, which is not a criticism. But other people are entitled to their opinion as well. Okay. It's called a brow lift. Okay. Thank you, Lisa. There's a very good channel on YouTube with a Japanese lady who does facial yoga. I think her name is Kimi. Okay. I was, I know a Japanese lady, a friend actually, who um, does do cosmetic corrections. She's about my age or a year older. Cosmetic work. She has cosmetic work done on her face, especially. And I heard about some thing that they do. It's not Botox. They take fat cells or fat, actual fat from your leg and implant it strategically on your face, which is evidently good for getting rid of wrinkles. And I saw her the other day, and I noticed that her upper lip looked swollen, like somebody had popped her in the mouth. And I was wondering if that had something to do with it, if that was the of a fat implant or if it was Botox. But I don't know about that because I've never had that kind of work done. Good morning, Schindler. Welcome to the party. All right. My navel is where my trachea tube scar used to be. Wow. My navel is where my trachea tube scar used to be. Wow. Did you have a. Oh, talking about. I don't know what you're talking. Trachea tube. Ooh. What did you had something done where you had a trachea tube stuck in there? Okay. I think she's cute. She looks like Tinkerbell. There you go. Yeah, there. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, as they say. I can't imagine Takaichi in that green Tinkerbell. Oh, you're gonna come on. You're gonna get people angry at you. Okay. All right. Okay, what do we got? Ha ha, I think she's cute, but I wouldn't want to see that. Okay. All right, guys. All right, that's not nice. You're going to upset some of our viewers. And I could see the point, right? This criticizing looks, right? I think, like I said, I think some, like everybody else, some pictures of her are not very flattering. Some pictures of her are very flattering. That for a picture, that was your look that lasted 1/1000th of a second. So I don't think we should get too excited about it. All right, let's move on. I think we've talked that one to death, probably past death. We probably talked it to death and resuscitated it a couple of times. Okay, we got one more about the cosmetic work. Let's see what that is. Ed Noy says, Ed, some cosmetic work is covered by your health insurance. Did you know? No, I did not know. I wonder what kind of cosmetic work is covered by health insurance. Is it if you have a very painful looking face or if you cause harm to others by your appearance? Okay, yeah, I'd like to know more, Ed, if you'd like to chime in. I don't want to criticize looks, but I'm too old to lie. There you go. And especially when you're confronted with criticizable looks every morning in the mirror. Okay. So Ednoy says eyes. So some eye cosmetic work can be covered by health insurance. I watch a guy who does a podcast out of Korea, and his channel name is Paul in the not Korea, Philippines. His channel name is not Korea. His channel name is Paul in the Philippines. And in fact, he was the one who inspired me to start this channel because he just sits down and talks and does a pretty good job. He's got a real gift of the gab. But anyway, he had these real big bags under his eyes. And he went in and had those removed when he had some cataract work done or something like that. And he was able, I wonder if that would be covered. Is that something that you would be covered? He was saying that these bags under his eyes can cause problems and things like that. So Ednoy says, yeah, oh, eyelids and stuff like that, reverse eyelid that they're all, or I forgot what the proper word is. So Ednoy says, I'm getting that this year. Really, Ed? Oh. Well, if you think of it, take some before and after photos. It would be interesting to see. And I'm sure it'll make you look a lot cuter. So, Lisa Edwards says, yeah, I listen to that guy too. Yeah. Yeah. Some of his stuff is a little bit rambly and make you and sleep inducing, but I a lot of it I like to have it on in the background while I'm doing something. And, I learned things about from him and, I like his technique and his style. And I like the fact that he only uses an iPhone to record and he doesn't go in for big equipment and stuff like that and goes out and, does a lot of interviews. I'd like to start doing interviews too. So if anybody would like to be in, oh, by the way, talking about interviews, that's some channel news. This afternoon at 2 o'clock, I'm going to meet up with Nobito. And if you're watching Japanese YouTube channels, you probably know Nobito. He is the Japan reporter, and he likes to cover different topics in Japan, some controversy, some racy, some about all kinds of different topics. But he's been around for a long time. He's got like 250,000, quarter of a million viewers and things like that. And we're going to get together and he's going to interview me about Japan's shrinking population. It's not going to be live, it's going to be recorded, and then he's going to put it together into a video. And I'll let you know when it drops and where to go to see it. And I may do a short video talking about his video to promote it. So be on the lookout for that. So yeah, Paul in the Philippines, old dog, new tricks. Catch is you have to be a senior. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, but you qualify. Really? Does my age really show that much? Maybe I should start doing Botox. As do I, as do many of us here. If you look at my YouTube channel stats that I can see, through my YouTube studio, you'll see that I think all of my viewers are above 45 or 40 or something like that. So we are a kind of upper age bracket kind of channel here. Okay, let's go on. Do you want to talk about the oil situation or just try to do the UFO dance? Yeah, well, the UFO dance might be good. Actually, I don't have the oil story up here, but I probably could get it up there in a minute. But first of all, I would like to talk about one of my favorite I shouldn't say one of my favorite topics, but it's one of my viewers' favorite topics, and that is immigration. And it's not the immigration cost or immigration policy so much, but it's a story on the result of the immigration policy. And let's take a look at that. This is news that just came out within the last day or two. And that is that restaurants are scrambling after Japan halts foreign worker status or granting of foreign worker status. And I read something about this a couple of weeks ago. And the story that I originally read was that Japan had this limit on foreign workers who can go into the food service and a restaurant worker industry, and the limit was 50,000, and that was the limit up 50,000 workers up to 2028. And the story that I saw, and it's covered by this story too, but the original story that I saw was talking about how the Philippine workers dropped the ball, because this came out and Philippine workers or government or organizations looked at this and said, oh, by 2028, so we'll just, we'll be able to send workers over by 2028, so we got plenty of time. But other countries, and I think I read it in Vietnam and maybe Nepal, saw this and said, wow, we better get on the stick and get our people in there before it's too late. And Buamo went after these visas, and even though this was set for up to 2028, the quota was filled by February of this year. And when it's causing a lot of trouble, not just for visa applicants, but also the Japanese restaurant industry. So Japan stopped accepting specified skilled foreign workers for the restaurant industry on April 13th, forcing companies to revise their hiring practices and prompting calls for a government rethink of the suspension. To deal with foreign labor shortages, the government plans to accept more than 800,000 foreign workers under the specified skilled worker resident status by the end of March 2029, not 2028, 2029, including 50,000 for the restaurant industry. But the quota for the industry is expected to be reached soon, leading to the suspension. I read somewhere that it was already reached, but this is to be reached soon. And this is posted on March 14th. Now, hearing from the Japanese companies affected by this, Skylark Holdings, operator of a chain of restaurants, has planned to promote about 30 foreign students hired as part-time workers to full-time permanent employees after they obtained specified skilled worker status starting this summer. However, those plans are now in doubt with the granting of the status now cut off. So Skylark was training these people. They thought they're going to advance to another status. We're going to hire them as full-time, but now they don't know if they can. They don't know if they can get them visas. We had been preparing for this, so we are confused. Taro System, which operates a soba noodle chain, also planned to upgrade foreign part-time workers in April to quasi-permanent employees positions after they obtained the specified skilled worker status. The individuals involved are feeling anxious, so we want to take care of them. The Japanese Food Service Association said that even as companies are making efforts to hire Japanese workers, the sudden suspension of acceptance could, for some firms, lead to shortened business hours or even temporary closures. The representative also noted the possibility that competition will intensify for foreign workers who already hold the qualification. Now, what does this mean? Now, this is a good point. Restaurant chains in metropolitan areas, Tokyo, Osaka, Fukuoka maybe, where wages are relatively high, are likely to draw workers away from rural regions. Okay, so more and more the rural regions will suffer. The restaurant industry category includes meal services at facilities such as hospitals, so labor shortages there could also become more severe. So they're talking about other fields. There is a risk labor shortages will worsen because they're saying that beverage production industry may become full by February 2028. Nursing care, March 2028. Construction, April 2028. And automobile maintenance and aviation, December 2028. So this story is suggesting that not only restaurants, but a whole range of industries may be adversely affected by the Japanese plans to become stricter in granting visas. So I guess this may be a very good discussion to have here. Okay. So as we say, live fast, leave a good, all right. Okay, yep, that's true. I just moved to Japan from Hawaii. Hey, welcome. I think I saw that you were getting ready to come over here. Would love to meet you. Well, if you would like to come in for an interview, please find I have a email address at the site. If you go to my channel, click more, and then it'll say contact, and you click a contact. You may have to do find the automobile thing or something like that. I don't know for sure. And you'll be able to find my contact email. If you write me an email there, I would like to get together with you. We could either do it online or in person. We can talk. And I think you were in Japan before, and you came back or something like that, if I remember correctly. I'd love to get together with you and have a talk. You could come on the live stream and just have a chat, or we can do a video chat. But like I said, get in contact with me. If you can't find my email address, let me know and I'll put it up here. Okay, and yeah, the politicians want to allow more foreigners to work, but that's because the law of supply and demand means businesses don't want to increase wages. Yep, that is the kicker, isn't it? Um, that definitely is the kicker. I had something. If you give me a second here as I bumble along, yeah, I don't know. Was it? Excuse me. Let me check that. It was either in this. It's either in this article or in another one. Okay, excuse me. I'm going to have to put this back up here because it's exactly what this article said. If you allow me to get my buttons straight here. If acceptance is suspended in other fields, labor supply and demand could tighten, potentially producing positive effects such as improved working conditions. Doesn't address higher wages. But there is also the risk that labor shortages will worsen, leading to a vicious cycle of higher prices and declining customers. So, yeah, that's what they're saying. It may force employers to improve working conditions, including wages, I guess. And nobody wants to do that, do they? So, yeah, I wonder why that concept never hits them. I've got a lot to say there because I'm still working, but I can't. So they are really working to make it harder for foreigners to thrive these days. It's amazing how much tourism and politics and things have changed since my last time living here 5 years ago. Yeah, just in 5 years, it has changed a lot. I've noticed it. It's the general mood changed a little bit, but yeah, I'm not bothered by any of this visa stuff or employment stuff at this point. But there are people around me, and they are saying, "Yeah, I did this and I did that," and they wouldn't give me an extension on my visa. And I'm pretty shocked. They're really tightening down, and it is harder. And I hate that word, and I'm not saying that because you used it, but the way Japanese people use the word foreigners, because there was a guy in my comments, and he said something like, "Yeah, foreigners generally think this, 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 and this about Japan." And I took issue with him. I says, "You know what all Chinese, Koreans, Indonesians, Nepalis, Thais, Americans, Canadians, Germans, French. You know what they're all thinking as a monolith? I mean, what are you talking about?" And I haven't seen if he responded yet, but I'm getting tired of the way Japanese use the word gaikokuji. I saw a news article that some train up in a tourist area, the train service was suspended because foreigners got into a fight. I read that and it really bugged me. Okay, so yeah, you are right. Okay, that's because Japanese want higher wages, but businesses don't want to pay higher wages. Yes, and stagnant wages has been one of the biggest problems in Japan since the bursting of the bubble. The Japan real wage system has been negative for decades. And unless you're working for a very large company with a strong union presence, it's still negative. Take my word for it. Oh, yeah, the food industry workers' visa cap news has been posted on Japanese Immigration Services website. Well, good luck to restaurant owners because over tourism won't end anytime soon. Yeah, who's going to serve all those? Who's going to serve all those gaijins? They need foreign workers to combat the declining birth rates, yet are making it more difficult to get visa, permanent residency, etc. It is a double-edged sword. Yes, you're correct. And I'm okay. I was bumbling around here because one of the reasons I'm meeting Nobita, the reason I'm meeting Nobita is he wants to know about my views on Japan's declining birth rate. And so I made some notes. And so one of the things, I Japan's declining birth rate. However, if you live in Tokyo and you look around Tokyo, you sit there and say, well, there are plenty of people around here. I mean, land prices are still high and they're going higher. If you want to buy a halfway decent place close to Tokyo, you're talking $1 million, more than $1 million. So the declining birth rate is a thing, yes, but it's not just fewer people. It's also that there are fewer young people supporting a growing population of older people. So the population is shrinking and the population is aging at the same time, which is creating quite a bad situation over here. It's the dependency ratio is getting to be pretty bad. You talk to young people who are paying taxes, and I don't know what it's like in other countries, so maybe it's the same. But you get a paycheck. Oh, I got my first paycheck. Well, where did half of it just go? And the young people are getting are in a really bad situation. And then because, like I said, you're in Tokyo and you look around and you say there are plenty of people and land prices are still going up. If you really want to see what's going on with the declining population, go out to a local area. Go down to Fukuoka. Go down to other areas. I'm sure Shimane or Ehime Prefecture, or even maybe up to Hokkaido or Aomori. And some of the places there I used to go to when I first came here in Fukuoka area, like Kurume, in front of Kurume Station was a really lively area, big lit and, very active. And you go there now and it is a ghost town. In the shopping area in front of the station I used to shop at, all the shops are shuttered. And basically all you see are big billboard signs for salary loan places. And it's really, really sad. And that's a medium size small town outside of Fukuoka. Then you go to Yanagawa, which is a smaller town near where my wife lives, and it's worse. And it's really run down. And from there, you go out to my wife's neighborhood, which is in a real rural area. And it is, every time I go there, I expect to see tumbleweed running down the street as places go downhill. I mean, the buildings are becoming decrepit. It's really a sad, sad, sad thing to see as Tokyo gets stronger and stronger and more population. Okay. No, they don't need foreign workers. They need to pay Japanese people more. Well, yeah. I mean, there are different ways to handle this. One way is managed decline. That is, don't bring in foreign workers and just manage the declining population of Japan. How would you do that? Accept that smaller population is a reality. Try to increase productivity of the smaller population, and try to maintain a stable, uniquely Japan society. Some people may say that's impossible, never be done. Well, maybe, but it is a scenario. It is a valid scenario. Scenario number 2 is slow stagnation, and that is ongoing labor shortages and economic drag. Nobody wants that, but it is a possible scenario. To go into scenario 1, managed decline, it would take a very active cultural and economic and political effort to manage the decline. But if you don't manage the decline and you don't bring in foreign workers, you're going to end up with slow stagnation. And I don't know how slow it's going to be. And then scenario number 3 is a quiet shift in the immigration policy. And that would be gradual normalization of foreign workers staying in Japan. Of course, you have to control what kind of foreign workers are coming in. But once these acceptable foreign workers are here, you have to try to incorporate them into their long-term stay. My opinion, I've been through a lot of crises in Japan, including the bubble bursting and the lost decade and the high growth era and the oil shock and the dollar shock and the Nixon shock and the Lehman shock. Been through it all. And what happens is generally Japan, which happens in every country, Japan sometimes somehow finds a way to get to the other side of it. They will find a way to get to the other side of this crisis as well. What the other side will look like, that's anybody's guess. But I'm sure something will come along to help to get Japan to the other side. Okay. Not my problem. I eat all my meals at 7-Eleven. Way to go. Way to go. Do you glow in the dark too? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Some people will say, I'll never eat at the convenience store food because it's filled with chemicals, which is, valid concern. Classic stuff, Schindler says, a price the country has to pay for electing populists who offer simple solutions for complex issues. The consequences of these decisions cause even more issues in the long run. Yes, that's true. Even hurry up, bring in lots of workers. That's I think is a simplistic solution too. Trying to solve a very big existential problem such as this takes a lot of hard work and thinking and at times pain. Some people who's, this is like the end of the Meiji, the beginning of the Meiji, the Restoration. You had people who were part of a society that operated in a certain way, and they built their whole lives based upon the way that society was operating. And then all of a sudden this group comes along and says, well, that society is finished and we're going to go in this direction. And those people who bet their life and future and their family's future on the old society are really in for a lot of pain. So when you go in through a societal shift, pain is inevitable. It's just managing the pain the best way you can. Yes, you have stellar memory. I moved to Japan after studying abroad. I have been here 4 years and left mainly in. Oh yeah, I remember the COVID part. You mentioned that too. Okay, like I said, get in touch. I think your story might be really interesting. Everybody might want to hear about it. Okay. Yeah, raise salaries and shorten working hours. Hey, I'd go for that. Fine workers for not going home at 5 p.m. There you go. And then maybe they won't be exhausted when they get home and may have enough energy to get it on. Yeah, and rebuild the population. Now, in this regard, I did direct contract work for a major Japanese corporation that makes a lot of fine consumer products, and I was writing their manuals and advertising material. And there was a time when, under pressure from the government to improve working conditions, that they did enforce no overtime days. And they did it a number of days during the week or something like that, and enforced it. I mean, people were forced to get out or else they'd be in trouble. Now, the company liked this because it forced their workers to get their work done within their working hours, and the company wasn't forced to pay overtime. Some of the workers liked it because people got to go home early and enjoy their non work life. A lot of company workers didn't like it because since they did the shortened working hours side of the problem without doing the raise salaries side of the program, the workers didn't get overtime pay, and so their income dropped. And some workers hated it and were had trouble because of it. So it's one of these dilemmas. And make babies to fix the incline. Yep, there you go. There you go. It might help. I'm still working too, or else I'd do a channel like yours. Hey, if you've got time, I would recommend it. Do a channel, start a channel, even if you think, well, I'm too old, or something like that. I'm proof positive. You're never too old. Get on there, start talking, and who knows what might happen. If you do start a channel, Shred Edward, I will be happy to promote it here. Or we can do collaborations together and I'll get you going. I was surprised to get a 3-year visa in this current climate. Way to go. Maybe, not maybe, I would say probably, they looked at your past record and saw that you were a fine, upstanding citizen. And so they gave you a 3-year visa, I would guess. Or you have some talent that they need. I have always been under the impression, I may be totally, this is just my anecdotal impression, that what the immigration department wants is fine, upstanding citizens who pay their taxes, keep out of trouble, and make enough money that they won't become wards of the state or a burden on the state in the future. I've always had that impression, and I still do now. And if I'm wrong, let me know. Okay, Gai Kokujin Nomi train cars now. Sanae. Oh, I first read that. Gai Kokujin Nomi. Oh, foreigners can drink? No, of course. Nomi also means only. Yeah, okay, Ed Noy, he wants to have his only foreigner cars in addition to the only women cars. Yeah, that would be cool. Then people would have to stop complaining about Gai Kokujin on the train. Do it for me, please, Sanai. Yeah, don't hold your breath there, Ed. Okay, I want to stretch out. Yeah, make them with bigger seats, wider seats, with more leg room. Okay. Where are we at? Come on. No talent, just pay my taxes and expenses and fill on time. I think that is a big key to success in this country. I just got a 5-year visa because they never caught me. Well, there's the other side, right? There you go, Ed. It's not that you're honest, it's just they never caught your dishonesty. Really good. Okay. Okay, good enough. All right. So good. All right. So, yeah, that too. Okay. Keep under the radar. Yeah, somebody in the comments was saying, I think it was Schindler. I think was that you, Schindler, or somebody else was saying that, yeah, when you're in Japan, you should earn just enough money to keep compliant and don't do anything past that, because if you're a high achiever and make more money, they'll just tax you more or something. If I'm misquoting you, Schindler, somebody said it and I thought it was you. If it's not you, or maybe it was some guy. Okay, yeah, maybe it wasn't Schindler. Got a second in a row 5-year extension to my technical visa in March. Completed the process in just 3 weeks. Made me think that the news sometimes very different from reality. I got that impression too. All right. One way that I monitor news is on Facebook. I subscribe to certain channels, and Asahi, Mainichi, NHK, and all of that. And I'm even thinking of getting a paid subscription to the Nikkei because they've got some pretty serious reporting that they do over there. And so, um, because I watch Japanese news, Facebook, in its wisdom, sends me news from other Japan sites that they think I'll be interested in it. And a lot of them, and not a lot of them, all of them are fake Japan news sites, or at least they color the Japanese news in such a way to make it sound much more serious than it actually is. Ones that I've seen recently, they showed one. They don't give a text story. They make almost like a meme kind of visual. They show a visual, and for example, the one that I saw, they showed the guy who's in charge of the Japanese Sanseito Party. His name escapes me at the time, but he's like this. And next to that is headline type text, and this headline type text says, "Head of Sanseito Party says that foreigners should not be allowed to use Japanese roads for free." You know, with big exclamation points and colored to make some of the text stand out. And I said, wow, did he really say that? And I checked it out. And no, he really didn't say that. He's taken some right wing stances, but he never said anything like that foreigners should be charged for using Japanese roads. Anybody who thinks Japanese highways are free has never been to Japan or has never driven in Japan. You can't go anywhere long distance in Japan without coming up with quite a bit of money. So, and I saw another thing that said Japan's finance minister said blah 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 blah, blah. Or the measles thing that I looked up came from one of those. I was checking out the veracity of one of those headlines. What was saying measles is endangering everybody and stuff like that. And it's not that serious. It's higher than normal, but it's not that serious yet, right? It may become that serious, but you got to watch for those. You got to watch for those because they also do a lot about the visa thing. About how. Oh, there's another one that they were talking about. Some mosque that's being built somewhere in Fujisawa or something like that. And they're saying that the riot police are out there and massive demonstrations, thousands of people. And you look at the mainstream news sites and there's very little word. Either the mainstream news sites, and then those people will say, well, the mainstream media is hiding it. Well, is it? I don't know. We'll see. Okay, anyway, don't believe those sites, especially those news sites. And I agree with you. It's not as bad as the media, but they got to get their clicks. So Schindler is on the list. Thank you, Ed. Ed's in good shape today. All right. It wasn't me, but it's very true. Earning more than 10 million a year makes you pay significantly more in taxes. Yeah, not just to the national government. If you make a lot of money, you have to pay a lot to the national government. You have to pay a lot to your local government, and your national health. Your national health premiums are based upon your income. So everybody's comes at you with their handout. I may even show up at your place if you're making more than 10 million yen. You need to get out of the Japanese corporate press. Yeah, in a way. But if you get out of the corporate press, you're into the clickbait press. I don't know. There has to be a middle ground somewhere. If you know what it is, Shred Edward, let me know what it is. It's the same Sanseito dude who said that Japan needs foreign workers so they could pay taxes and social insurance fees, but also said Japan doesn't want to take care of them when they retire. Yeah, that's one of the notes that I had. That's one of the notes that I had in my upcoming interview, and that is Some people want to, some people want to, they are pro importing foreign workers, but they are con allowing foreigners to live long term in Japan. So it's kind of a mix up. They can't have it both ways. We all know that. But like I said, I'm sure something will come out of this. Okay, I'm going to run a banner one more time. Shameless self promotion, I think they call it. Okay, all right. I've my next one. I'm sorry. Who is that? Who requested oil? But I don't have anything on oil because the oil thing is a numbers game, and those number game articles are 10 million barrels, 20 million barrels, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So it's a little bit hard to do. Got a serious question. Did Itami Juzo jump or was he pushed, Ed? I don't know that story. He was good. Sounds like was that a singer who committed, or a politician or somebody who committed suicide? I don't know. I don't know about that one. Sorry about that. Okay, let's look at another news story. And this one caught my eye, basically, because it's a Fukuoka story, and also because it was such a sad story. And this is that the headline you could see here. This is the main gist. Okay, a director. Thank you. The court orders mother of teen murderer to pay compensation. And here is the victim, a very beautiful young lady. Looks like a nice picture taken on New Year's. But this story is one of the sickest things I've ever heard. Let's go through it. The Fukuoka High Court on March 25th ordered the mother of a then 15-year-old boy to pay compensation to the bereaved family of a 21-year-old woman murdered by her son, saying that she shirked her responsibility as a mother. What a concept, huh? The High Court overturned a Fukuoka District Court ruling that only ordered the son to pay about 54.1 million yen in compensation, but asked nothing from the mother. Now, the thing here is the son is 15 years old, and they're going to toss him in some kind of a slammer. How is he going to pay 54.1 million yen? There's no way. He doesn't have. So this is like doing nothing. Order him to pay. Okay. How, what are you going to do? Take his pound of flesh or something like that? The bereaved family appealed that ruling on grounds that the mother ignored her responsibility to oversee her son, who at the time of the murder was still technically of compulsory education age. So this poor woman was stabbed in the neck in a woman's restroom at a commercial facility in Fukuoka in August 2020. The crime took place 2 days after the 15-year-old boy was temporarily released from a juvenile training school. Now, I read another story that said what happened was this girl was shopping with her friend, and this little delinquent kid spotted her and said, well, she's good looking. She's my type. Now, I'll point out that in Japan, being declared someone's type, especially a person who has problems, being spotted by a guy who says, oh, she's my type, can often be a death sentence. This happens more than it should. The Fukuoka High Court ruled that the mother was well aware of what her son was capable of. Oh, by the way, so this guy says, she's my type. He followed her and her girlfriend into the woman's toilet and started, hey, let's get together, let's get it on. Even though they're like 6 years apart or 7 years apart. And the friend ran, I'm going to go get the police. And this girl, this other lady, quietly and calmly said to the guy, cut it out. You shouldn't have to do this. This is screwed up. You're a kid. I'm an adult. This is not, you're in the woman's toilet. Get out of here. Which made the guy mad. So he stabbed her in the neck, right? So sick. The Fukuoka High Court ruled that the mother was well aware of what her son was capable of since she had talked with officials from the juvenile training school before his release. The High Court also ruled that the mother could have foreseen what might occur. The bereaved family also argued that abuse of the son by his mother when they were living together played a major role in forming his personality and led his unruly behavior that eventually led to murder. Now, when I first saw this, I thought, well, isn't this the same as a wrongful death suit? And I found out that no, because a wrongful death suit, though technically could be part of something like this. Generally, it's not. The people don't go after the parents of somebody that goes bad. Of a child who goes bad. But I thought it's a pretty good idea. Why not? Why not cause some pain for the parents of a juvenile who does something that's seriously wrong? Shredder was at compensation. How about prison for life in a Japanese prison? But I doubt that they'll throw him in prison for life because he's 15 years old. Japanese justice treats youngsters pretty well. And no, yikes, yeah, me too. No good, no bueno. Yeah, no kidding. As for recommending news outlets, realize that big news stories are rarely reliable since people who don't say and people who say don't know. Yeah, okay. So I know it's nice to say don't do this and don't do that. I prefer advice such as do this or do that. If you have any of that up your sleeve, it would be greatly appreciated. Okay. But they all have to report something, so they make up a lot of time. Okay, yeah, all right. Those are the negatives. I'd like to hear some positive. Yeah, but I thought that it was interesting that you are allowed to go after the parents of juvenile wrongdoers. I was thinking, man, maybe that would be good if they did that in the U.S., don't you think? If you had some of these delinquent wrongdoers that I've seen. I watch police arrest videos sometimes where they'll grab somebody shoplifting or something like that, and the police will say, "Okay, what's your name?" They say, "I'm a minor," and like you can't do anything. And so they wait for the parent to show up, and the policeman will meet the parent, and they'll say, "Well, your kid was caught with a bag full of goods, and so we have to arrest them, but we had to wait until you came." And then the parent starts going after the police. Well, how do you know that they were shoplifting? Well, we've got them on tape. Well, how do you know that? You guys should do. Don't you guys got better things to do? So I was thinking, if the police were able to find the parents for actions taken by their minor child, man, that would be cool. So cool, right? There is a case for parental squealing in the Japan and the USA. What do you mean by parental squealing? That is parents squeal on their kids or somebody squeal on their parents. So if you would like to clarify, I'm too thick to comprehend this. Please help me out. Okay, we're getting to getting close to the 2 hour mark. We're getting close to the 2 hour mark. Parents aren't going to do that when they're not gonna pay. Okay. So anyway, we're at the 2 hour mark. So we got about 10 minutes before the 2 hour mark is hit, where our viewers are starting to escape. So I guess we're losing a bit of the mojo that we had there for a while. Oh, parents aren't going to report their crazy kids. Okay, report your crazy kid. Yeah, yeah. I think it's a good idea. But will parents do it? Shred Edwards said maybe not. But I open this up to you for about 10 minutes. Anybody want to, if anybody wants to talk about oil, I guess we could do that. And about the oil coming from the Strait of Hormuz. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Shred Edward. I really appreciate everybody's participation. Any anything open? If not, if I don't hear anything within the next couple of minutes, we'll just put a lid on this, since I've got to do that interview at 2 o'clock. So okay, yeah, the oil thing. I'm wondering about that too, because I keep hearing threats from the West, especially our brave and fearless leader, saying, open up the straits, or hell hath no fury like a president scorned. And and so and then the next day another threat is thrown out there. And I know that United States is now what, the largest exporter of oil in the world. So doesn't it benefit them if another oil supply is interrupted? I don't know. That's beyond my pay grade to figure out. But Japan, as always, is in a bind when it comes to oil. Takaichi saying, yeah, we got reserves up until the end of the year. We're okay. Okay. And after that, what? You have to beg the U.S. again? Remember what happened the last time you ran out of oil and had to depend upon the U.S.? Whoa. I've learned a word I'll never use before because of Strait of Hormuz crisis. Kaikyo. Yeah, that's straight. The Strait of Hormuz, Kaikyo. All right. A lot of kaikyos in Japan too. If you listen to Japanese music, Schindler, Japanese enka music, you'll hear a lot of references to kaikyo, because they're always talking about, on the underside of that kaikyo is where my one true love lives, and all that kind of stuff. I saw a comical creator. I don't know where he was from. I think he was from Europe. He had a bit of an accent. He was running around doing interviews, and he was saying, yeah, I'm hearing all these news about the Straits of Hormuz, and I think we have to do more for the gays of Hormuz. What do you think? And some people were actually saying, yeah, sounds like that would be fair to me. That sounds like a joke something like Ednoy might like, because he says things like oil's well that ends well. Okay, great one. We both know what started the Pearl Harbor bombing, and I'm really worried, especially with this talk of amending the Constitution. Yep, even though I referred to it obliquely, you know what I was saying. I mean, it wasn't that oblique. I'm not as blunt as somebody we know saying, "Well, you guys really know how to keep surprise attacks quiet." I mean, that was pretty funny. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm more into city pop, Schindler says. These songs are mostly about fancy city life during the bubble era. Okay. All right. Good for you. Yeah, and Enka is a lot like country, about the guy living in the country who had to go to the big city to get a job to support his family back home, who he can't forget about, but he remembers the the white birch trees and the blue sky. There's a song like that, Shira Kaba Aozora. Anyway, Yeah. Ed Noi, I always, I call you, I say Oyaji gag and stuff like that, but loved it. Thanks a lot for, keeping it bright and happy. Oh, snap. I forgot it's Tuesday. Way to go. But you're here. So you remembered. Thank you. It's too bad because we talked about a lot of topics that I think you'd be interested in. You could check out the replay later. So enka is Japanese blues. I say it's Japanese country. Why? Listen to me, and I'll tell you. Look at the song Country Roads. Now, Country Roads starts out with just images of some country scene, though it's not really a country song, but it's got country in the name. So, Almost Heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah Valley, Shenandoah River, excuse me. Now, there you have just these images that conjure up some images in your head. It's not a sentence, all nouns or noun phrases. There is a Japanese enka song that's very popular. A lot of gaijins sing it too. And it goes, I just said it, Shirakaba, Aozora, Minami Kaze, Kobushi Saku, Ana Oka Kitaguni no, Kitaguni no Guni no Haru. All nouns, almost all nouns. There's one verb thrown in there, saku, bloom. But they are basically just image shots. So I always, when I'm talking to Japanese people, I says those two songs are very parallel, very different musically, but very parallel in mood. Okay. All right. I hope you do that and I hope you enjoy it. And I know you'll have something to say about some of the topics that we had. Oh, really? What's that? Hakatayan ramen. Special deal. Ore Tokyo e Saigu da by Yoshi Ikuzo is where enka, city pop, and early rap suddenly meet. Well, that's a good tap, a good pointer. Let me write that down. Ora, maybe ora, Tokyo Saigu da Yoshi Ikuzo. Sorry for this exciting screen time watching me write a note, but that's where you are when you've got CRS syndrome. CRS syndrome was named by my late darling mother. She said CRS syndrome. I says, what does CRS mean? And she says, can't remember nothing. Okay. Storytelling music. That's what it is. In fact, I wrote a song myself that I perform sometimes during my shows, and it was called. It's about the Yamanami Highway in Kumamoto. I took a ride down there a long time ago when I was a young kid, and I thought I was in Montana or Wyoming. Beautiful rolling hills, cows, green grass. And I thought to myself, I want to write a song about that someday. And 40 years later, I did. And I was wondering, how do you write a song about your feeling as you're riding down the highway? And I thought, hey, country road, that's exactly what it is. So that's the way I wrote it. If you want, I'll play it someday, but only if by popular demand. Maybe you're right. I always thought of enka as sad. Yeah, it is sad. It is sad. And it is. You're right. Blues, as far as the music is concerned, but the content is kind of like country. Yeah, country's kind of bluesy. The content, not the style. Okay, yeah, that's that first kanji is ore. Yeah, ore means me, my, I. Ore Tokyo Tokyo sa ikuda. Okay, thank you. That's a good one to know. All right, all right. The song is all in Tsugaru-ben. Oh, Aomori dialect, which makes it even more beautiful. Really, really, really hard. Oh, Yoshi Ikuzo, I know who he is. Really, really hard to understand. The song that I was saying before, that's like Country Road. That's also about Aomori, and the guy who sang it was a good friend of Yoshi Ikuzo. His name is Sen Masao. And yeah, I went to my friend's wedding in Aomori, actually in Hachi no He. And at that time, I was pretty confident in my Japanese. I could do really well, hold a conversation. I could understand Osaka dialect relatively well, not completely. I could understand Kyushu dialect really well. That was my original Japanese mother tongue. So I thought, yeah, I can, man, I'm pretty good. And I went to Aomori and I couldn't understand jack of what they were talking about. And I needed everything translated and interpreted for me because I just couldn't understand what they were talking about. And then I found out that that's true of a lot of Japanese people too. Why not also sue the training school for releasing him knowing he's a danger? Bing bong. There you go. I don't know if it's a thing to do something like that in Japan, where things are done by the book, because probably they would say, well, he fulfilled this criteria under this law and blah blah blah. So that might be a defense, but I'd go for that. It's a slippery slope, Greg, says Ed. Yeah, where does it end? Right? Ha ha ha. Not in Hachi no He. Okay. Hachi no He. They've got a bunch of number names, right? Hachi no He means 8, the 8th He, right? So, okay. For an unprepared listening, Tsugaru Ben sounds more like Korean rather than Japanese. Yeah, rather than Japanese. Yeah, they do a lot of slurring of the. It's like, I think it would be like talking to somebody from the Bayou country in Louisiana or something like that. You know, I remember why I went down to see my friend one time. He was living in southernmost Indiana, and we were going to go play golf the next day. And he said, "Well, tomorrow morning we'll get up early, and we'll cross the river." And we'll go to a golf shop because I want to get some golf balls or something like that. And I said, "Oh, you're going to go to Louisville?" And he says, "What are you talking about, Louisville?" That was the name of the Kentucky town. "We're talking about Louisville, you damn Yankee. It's Louisville." So I guess you have to learn how to be, Maybe that's true of Aomori. See you next Wednesday, Ed. Bye, Ed. We aren't at a standstill because of if we aren't at the maybe we won't have any electricity. Cajun Japanese. That's good. I'm going to use that. I know that Elvis impersonator they know, Elvis Toki. He's from Aomori. I think I'm going to use that. Cajun Japanese. Good word. Okay, I think, like I said, I think our viewers are getting tired of my shtick here. So I think we're going to call it a day. I'm going to go have some lunch, get ready for my interview. So if you haven't already, I'm going to shamelessly, or somebody said a nameless, I went over there. Sorry, I didn't publish that. A nameless plug, nameless, shameless plug. And please, especially like and comment. I know all of you are subscribers by now. Especially like and comment. It does help. It helps a lot because YouTube says, well, that channel's popular. And so if you got it in you, if you feel so inclined, I would be greatly appreciative of your effort. Okay, I sure will. Hey, hang in there, Ed. And you too, Udatsu. And thank you for, at least I didn't have to say that. I kind of hate. But anyway, I won't go into that. I'll start talking for another half hour. Thank you very much, everybody. And we'll see you in the next one.